Hi, and welcome to today's 4-Minute Mark. Still in Mark chapter 13, and now we're at verse 28. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things happening, you know that it is near, right at the door. I tell you the truth, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. What things is Jesus talking about here? Well, the things that we've already gone over, the wars and rumors of wars and earthquakes and famine and false Christs, which we have seen in our day and age. They actually had it all back then as well. What Jesus is basically saying that, as I said last week, the earth is in birth pains here, and something new is coming. So be ready for that. I want to comment on this generation will certainly not pass away till all these things have happened. As I've said, these things have happened throughout history, continue to happen because we are still in birth pains, so we don't have to get all bent out of shape, as I did when I was younger, and I read that and I said, well, Jesus was wrong because he didn't come back before that generation died away. No, we don't have to worry about that. What Jesus is saying is that they will have seen the birth pains, and they did. Also, that generation can also be translated as race, as the footnote in the NIV says here. So it may be the Jewish race will not perish before all these things happen, if Jesus is indeed talking about the end times. But if Jesus is talking about the fall of Jerusalem, and might I remind you to go back and listen to last week's messages if you haven't already, if Jesus is talking here primarily about the fall of Jerusalem, and the fall of Jerusalem prefigures the final coming of Christ and the final judgment of Christ, then indeed that generation did not pass away because Jerusalem fell in 70 AD. So however you want to interpret that, you don't have to go, Jesus was wrong, like I did when I was younger. Okay. Let's go on to verses 32 through 37. No one knows about that day or hour, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. And let me stop right there. I told the story before that in my first church there was a man about my age. We used to like to go to old bookstores and look at theology books. And we found a book there that predicted that Jesus was coming again. It was imminent. And he had all the reasons why things in the world were lining up with biblical prophecy, and Jesus was going to come, like within a decade or two. It was a sure thing. The book was written during the years of World War I. Okay? So that shows us we ought to be careful. When I was in college and high school, a big deal was books that talked about the rapture and the Antichrist and blah, 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 and all of that stuff, and how the world was going to end. Hal Lindsey had a bestseller called The Late Great Planet Earth. It was all coming to a close. I remember when the millennium turned and we entered the 2000s, there were people that were saying, this is it, this is the end, and they had all these biblical prophecies to show that. Even now, people are on the internet going, COVID is a sign of the end. The riots we're seeing in the cities are a sign of the end. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Let me say again, Christian, it was coming since the day of Pentecost. That's what the Bible teaches. That's what Peter said. And that's why Peter and Paul and the other apostles, when they felt that Jesus was coming right away, before they even maybe before they died, it's why they weren't wrong. Because we are in the last days. This is the last thing that God is going to do, is the church. That's God's last plan for earth. After that, the earth gets renewed. So we've been in the last days since way back when. But as far as pinpointing an exact date, that this is when Jesus is going to come again, Jesus says here, nobody knows that date. Not even him. Only the Father. See you tomorrow.